What's up? What's going on? Hide and read. Book review for you today. It's Hard Rain Falling, Don Carpenter. Check out that photo cover. Isn't that great? This author, Don Carpenter, he is one of the producers for an HBO show called The Wire, which if I understand correctly, is about selling drugs in Baltimore. So this book was not too far off from those kinds of like criminal scenes, but this would be a lot more like lower level, I guess. So Hard Rain Falling, it follows the story of two characters mostly, but the main character is Jack Levitt, and he is like institutionalized from a young age. He grew up in an orphanage, and when he gets out, he goes into the streets and becomes like one of these, just like a local hoodlum in the Pacific Northwest. And they hang around pool halls and they gamble money. Whenever they get any kind of money, they spend it like almost immediately on alcohol or the next scheme, or they go to a whorehouse a bunch of times. But they're like 17, 18 years old, 16, and that's more or less the beginning of the story. And the characters at first, there's two primary characters, Jack Levitt and Billy Lansing. Billy Lansing is a um, African American young man that is also a pool hustler. What could we say about him? Well, we really just don't want to spoil this too much for you. But the story is not really the main element here. It's more about these characters kind of just doing circles, 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 circles. And even though the circle is changing and the events are a little bit different, they're more or less stuck in the same place. They really haven't moved forward, um, even from before the beginning. So they're kind of just, no matter how much they do and no matter how much goes on in the story, they just keep ending up in the same kind of like institutionalized um, set mindset, or even you'll see later in the book they physically end up in the institution, and these guys just can't get out of it. And a lot of it has to do with them, because you'll see when they get out of the institutions, what happens is they attract more of these like similar individuals who are a lot different than them, but they come with that same kind of mindset. And all these people, whether they started off high and end low, or start low and get all the way up high, they're just doing circles. And no matter where they are on the circle, they're not getting anywhere. They're not getting anywhere. And yeah, I guess that's the existentialist part of this book that I wasn't really expecting. I was just expecting kind of like a dirty coming of age, kind of like I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Kids. That was really popular when we were growing up, and it's just bad, really. It's just kids doing, like, young people doing very bad stuff in an urban setting, which is very realistic and shocking. And um, you know, there's levels to everything, and I'm sure everybody can relate, even though the levels that these characters go to are so debased and low. I think that everybody can relate to how how you could find yourself there, basically. And um, yeah, and like I said, just these circles that we find ourselves in. And yeah, eventually, I think that's what this author is doing, is trying to figure this out in his mind, basically. I could be wrong, but I'm going to read. There's like a little quote in the beginning. There's a nice little introduction to the book, but I suggest that if you get this, you don't read it. Just wait. Wait till you finish reading to read the introduction. I don't like why they do that. They put them in the beginning, and you have to know not to read these introductions because they spoil the book. But anyway, sorry to rant and ramble a bit there. I was saying how the characters are just going in circles. I feel like that's what the author's trying to figure out for himself. Here's a quote from an interview. This is in 1975. This is from the author, Don Carpenter. I'm an atheist. I don't see any moral superstructure to the universe at all. I consider my work optimistic in that the people, during the period I'm writing about them, are experiencing intense emotion. It is my belief that this is all there is to it. There is nothing beyond this. I think that's what he was struggling with, and I don't. He eventually committed suicide. So I don't mean to speak ill about people, but when you say something like that and you write a book with characters like this, I mean, you're kind of just screaming for help. Like it's kind of hard to understand why. Yeah, it's kind of sad. But he wrote other books. I'm interested in reading the other books, but this author did eventually end his life. I don't know if it says where. 1995. He committed suicide at the age of 64. So kind of bleak, but so I honestly I was kind of debating, do I even suggest anyone read this? But the writing is so good. The writing is so good in this, and the way that the story is structured, like you'll see there's like a really clever way that all the events are just repeating over and over and over and over, but they're different events with different people, and yeah, the story just goes nowhere, and it's just these people, like the author was kind of hinting to, feeling just kind of chasing these big emotional experiences and suffering because of it. So because you guys are my friends, it's like I don't know if I should suggest anybody read this. I enjoyed reading it. I might even read it again. When it comes down to it, I do suggest that you read this because the writing is so good, and I think that you guys are critical enough that something like this isn't going to disturb you. But the book is just filled with people cheating on each other, different kinds of rape. I think there's murder, there's robbery, and there's something interesting about it in that the characters, whether they're the antagonist, the one doing the crime, or the one the victim receiving this crime, everyone is kind of detached because they're all, like I said before, they're all in this criminal scene. They know that, like oh man, you're not supposed to say this, but they're asking for it. They're asking for it, and they know that. And even when they're like institutionalized in prison, the main character, he doesn't think that he shouldn't be there. And it's not the first time of him being institutionalized because he is in an orphanage. He knows that he belongs there. And yeah, I don't want to ruin the story or anything, but there's other characters in the prison that don't think that they should be there. So all different walks of life. I thought the book was very interesting. It's very, very well written, and it's very readable. It's just comes with a caveat that it's just full of bad people. So the whole time you're reading this, you're gonna be spending time with these terrible people, and so just be mindful of that. Otherwise, wow, this book would be great if you don't like reading. If you're like somebody that doesn't like reading, they would love to read this book. I bet it's just like I said, it's scandalous. So yeah, check it out. If you see it in the bookstore, just flip through it, look at, like, maybe read a page or two and see if you like the writing. I bet you will. Hard Rain Falling, Don Carpenter. Until the next one, peace.